Are you an outliner or are you a pan? It sounds like you're doing a lot of planning. So
Normally I'm more toward the pantsing kind of end of the continuum. For this one, I'm really trying to make myself plan a little bit more. But what ends up happening, even when I do plan, um, I thought I had like the Mammon books and like the Dragon books and other series of mine pretty well planned out. But what happens is a lot of the creative process happens while I'm writing.
mm-hmm.
So if I outline something, um, I if I stick to that outline completely, then I am denying myself the ability to kind of ad lib and make things happen and improvise as I'm going. And I always find that as I'm going through the outline, I'm trying to hit all these. I basically have a list of plot points. This has to happen, and then this has to happen, and this has to happen. And I will get to one of these things, and sometimes I'm like, okay, this character just isn't going to do that thing. Like that's just not in his nature to do that. It doesn't seem right. And so I have to find some other way to make that happen. Yeah. Or I'll get to a point where I'm like, what would be cool is if instead of this happening, this happens and it connects to something that happens later, or, and so I think of all kinds of connections, that don't necessarily occur to me when I'm thinking of things at sort of the 10,000 foot level.
Yeah.
So while I'm in the thick of it and I'm in the mind of the characters and stuff, and working through the actual problems that I'm giving them, I realize ways of making things a lot more interesting than and then a lot of times I'll go back and look at the outline and think, what was I thinking? That was this is way more interesting now. Like it seemed fine as an outline, and then I get into the writing of the book, and I'm like, no, I can make this so much better than what I was planning. So it's so like this one, like I say, I'm trying to plan because it's a big story with it's a whole galaxy, and there's a bunch of corporations fighting each other, and a lot of different characters with different motivations. So it's a very big kind of world and a very complex plot. But whatever, I know that it's going to happen because it always happens that every time, that no matter how much I plan, I'm going to get into it and I'm going to go, no, that's not going to that something else has to happen. So.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I guess I don't know how well you know your characters before you're putting in your plot points, but I guess, as you start writing, then you get to know the character a lot more intimately.
Right, yeah, I don't...
You're like,
I a lot of times I think I know them, and I think I know what they're going to do, and then I realize that it just doesn't feel right, what they're going to do, and I realize that, a lot of times I realize the character is not who I consciously thought they were, and I probably have something in the back of my head that's like that.
Oh no! Oh, there he is.
I think no. I was going to say I thought the fireworks to stop, but they're just going to keep going the whole time. You're going to hear fireworks in the background the whole time. But yeah, so I'll have, I don't know exactly where this stuff comes from, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I'll just get to a point where I'm like, well, this character's not going to do that thing because that's I thought that I could get them to do it, but they won't. So and I don't know why that is. It's just something either it's out there somewhere and I'm tapping into something, or it's in the back of my head and I'm just not aware of it. And that's how the whole writing process is with me, where a lot of stuff I'm like, I don't know where that came from. It just happens. So.
Yeah. I always wonder how, because it seems daunting, like trying to get into writing, like, do I have to like think up all of these little Easter eggs that I have to like place in perfectly?
You definitely don't have to. That's what's, and the other, of course, secret to writing and making it seem like you have all this stuff figured out is you write backwards. If you start with the end, and then write, fill stuff in to get to that point. It's like, wow, that's amazing. How did he make it all come together? And it's like, well, I didn't. I started with this, and then I pulled it apart. Yeah. So yeah, there's, and again, it goes back to the fact that for me, and I think for most writers, there are some who really plan everything out in advance, but I think for most writers, a lot of the magic happens as you go. Mm-hmm. So the idea that you have to like before you start writing, I need to know where, how all this stuff ties together. you don't. I mean, I again will write and I'll have an outline that I think as I'm looking at it, it's getting really loud. It seems thorough and it seems like I've got everything. It's like, okay, everything is there. And then I get into the middle of it and it's just like, no, I have to go way off. And the end result almost never looks anything like the outline. So,
yeah.
But I have to have the outline to write off of. I always write towards the outline and then I revise it as I go. And even till the end of the book, I keep having, the outline, even though I know I'm gonna veer off of it. I have to go toward that thing because otherwise I just don't have anything to write toward.
How do you break up your outline? Is it like you do like a little bullet point for each chapter, or you do like really long things, short things?
Yeah, it's usually it's really just bullet points, and sometimes it's chapters. And then when I get into the chapter, I'll say, okay, these are the 5 things that have to happen in this chapter, and there's sort of an arc to that chapter. But yeah, usually it's at the high level, it's 1 or 2 or 3 bullet points per chapter, and then as you get to that part, you have to expand those, so you're going to have more bullet points. But I never have like a Roman numeral 1, and within that, there's letter A, capital A of the starting the introduction to the story and blah blah. It's never that organized. It's literally this happens, this needs to happen, then he finds out this, and because of that. There's a great video, by the way. The writing advice that I always tell people, it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Mm-hmm. I think I got the names right. The South Park guys. If you look up something like South Park guys writing advice or something, you'll find it on YouTube. And it's this great clip where they're talking to a group of, I think it's film students, writing students of some kind, and they explain their writing process. And it's very much like that, where they have scenes or things that happen, bullet points, and they always say they have to connect. Everything's got to connect with either I believe it's therefore or a but. So something happens, and then but something else happens, and so that's a conflict. It's an obstacle, or it's therefore because this happens, something else happens, and so you connect everything that way. And if you ever find yourself just writing this happens and then this happens and then this happens, that's when your reader's eyes are going to glaze over, because it's just random stuff happening and it's not connected. And it may feel to you like, as a writer, like, well, I'm going to have this happen and then this is going to happen and I'm going to tie this stuff together. But to the reader, it just feels like, where is this going? What is the point of this? Why am I reading this? Or, why am I watching this for? And if anybody is a writer or aspiring writer, you should definitely look up. You can find that YouTube clip easy. It's like 3 minutes long. And it's probably the best writing advice that I've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to look that up. I feel like this is turning a bit of a writing craft podcast, but,
yeah, okay. That's I'm fine with it.
So you kind of mentioned you had you might have just picked this number out of thin air, but like you said, 5 points to the chapter. Is there a certain way you kind of think about your chapters and how you want to construct them? One out of them.
I think in terms of. I always think in terms of basically events, things that need to happen, and yeah, they're. I don't know that there's an exact right number of bullet points per chapter, but it's for me, a chapter has to have kind of an arc within itself. It's almost like a short story. Mm-hmm. So like there's a beginning and a middle and an end to a chapter. A chapter is never just, I'm going to have this happen and this happen and this happen. It's always going to be like, we start off with this, we expect this one thing to happen, but then something goes wrong in the middle and then we end up somewhere else. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. So there's sort of a mini arc. Like if you think of the book as a whole having a plot arc that spans the whole book. Chapters are very much miniature versions of that. And so there's always, and a chapter may just be a conversation between two characters. It may be a battle. It may be there's 100 different, variations on that, but it's always going to be as much as possible. The chapter for me has it has a role to play or a goal that needs to be achieved as part of that chapter, so that it's getting really loud. So that whatever it is that the reader, I can't see anything, but it's just incredibly loud. The reader feels like something is like there was a reason that they read that chapter. It's never just a chapter of like characterization or exposition or anything. It's always something. It's an arc. It's a story in itself that that where they feel like something is accomplished, or something is, if not accomplished, something else is. There's an obstacle that escalates things somehow. So if you're either accomplishing, you're advancing something, or you're escalating the problem and making the problem worse.
Yeah.